Hi Rotarians, this is District Governor Jennifer Deroin, and I wanted to talk with you today about labels and being careful about our language that we use in the clubs. And so today I have with me my friend and Rotarian Bill Hall from the Rotary Club of Nampa, and my friend and Rotaractor Lauren Smyser, who is with the new Rotaract Club of Boise. I'm going to share with you a little bit of backstory about how I know these two and my experiences with them, and then we're going to talk a little bit about language. Bill and I met of course, we were both members of the same club, and we became friends, and I said I'm going to go to the Rotary International Convention in Lisbon, Portugal, and he and Anka are very well traveled, and they said, well, we would love to come with you. So we, together with our spouses, went to the Rotary International Convention in 2013 in Lisbon, Portugal. We shared a house. We had a great time. They taught us how to travel internationally because I really didn't know that. Bill, in his work life, he owned several McDonald's in the Treasure Valley and sold those and is now retired. And he and his lovely wife, to me, are the perfect models of how you do retirement right. So when I grow up and get to do that, I'm going to try to be like Bill and Anka is my goal. So Lauren, I met Lauren through her mom, actually. We were on a board together and would go to her house. Actually, I think we met there. And then one day I was at the College of Idaho recruiting Rotaractors. And it's kind of a funny story because they only let 2 booths be there that day, and I walk in and I'm thinking I'm all prepared, and right next to me is the Lions Club, who has amazing stuff and I have pretty lame stuff. But the only thing that I had going for me is I was in the direct line sight of the door. So in walks Lauren, and I grab her and say, come to me. So I stole her from the Lions. And it's because of Lauren that we have a Rotaract Club at the College of Idaho. Really, her getting other people engaged and getting them invited, and her leadership is really what created that. Of course, now Lauren's graduated and moving on in life, and we're starting this new Rotaract Club of Boise that's more of a community-based Rotaract, and we needed somebody to be the catalyst. And so I called Lauren. I said, hey, Lauren, what are you doing nowadays? So now Lauren is leading this effort. I heard you had how many people the other night at your launch event?
Last night at 25.
25 people at their kind of first launch event. And Lauren has some great plans, and just think so much of Lauren as well as Bill, and so wanted them to come here and talk about this subject today. So what I'm going to do, Lauren, I'm going to have you read what's on this piece of paper. So these are phrases sometimes that I hear about stereotypes. So I would like you to read this, and then we'll talk about what's on the paper.
Okay. Millennials don't want to join anything. They don't want to give their time or their service. They're too busy playing on their phones.
So how do those phrases make you feel?
I think they're untrue. I guess I would say that I think there's a misperception of millennials and what we want to do, because last night, as you said, we had our kickoff event and we've had 2 other meetings, and there's been people so enthusiastic about giving back. And while we have maybe different ideas of how we give back than other people and other maybe generations, I think that we all want to give back. Mm-hmm. I don't think it necessarily, just because it's a different way of giving back, I don't think it's still giving back.
Right. It's not less or more, it's a different way. Mm-hmm. So I know that's a question people ask a lot, is how do millennials want to engage in service? So rather than us guessing, why don't you tell us?
Well, I think something when we started Rotaract at the College of Idaho, it was time. So I feel like we can't give as much time just because we get so caught up in all the busyness of our lives, and I think we're still adjusting to how to manage that. Where Rotary meets every week, we didn't do that at the College of Idaho. We met once a month, just because I think that's easier for people my age. Okay. And so going forth with this new Rotaract, we're going to do twice a month, and one's going to be social and one's going to be service. Right. So I think that you just have to kind of engage what our generation wants, and time is really precious to us. Mm-hmm. Maybe because we're always on our phone, I don't know, but I think that's the biggest thing, is we just don't have time to give service in the certain ways that other generations may.
So if I were to summarize it, I think, we talked a lot about Rotaract clubs, And when we think about Rotaract, it's 18 to 30, and now sometimes even Rotaract's clubs are saying 18 to 35.
Mm-hmm.
And we live in a time-deprived society. And in that age range, people are building careers and building families. And so there's a lot of things that are tugging on us. Whereas for somebody like myself, I'm an empty nester. And, so I don't have the demands of raising kids and things like that on my plate. So sometimes that opens up some of that time and I can to make other decisions. But I think the part of the important message is that from what you said is you still want to give. And I know that you give in a lot of other areas beyond Rotaract. So you're a very involved person. And so you demonstrate regularly through your actions and not just your words that you are a person of service and you value giving back. So I think the important message is, though, that we have to be careful to not put a box around what doing that right is and letting people find their way to what that is. Does that sound
yes.
right?
Well, that's something with Rotaract that in this new club we're really trying to focus in is that different people want to serve in different ways. And so for me to plan every single service project wouldn't be beneficial to the multiple people that we're trying to attract to the organization. So making sure to have a variety of service, because whether you're my age or someone older, maybe you just have different interests and that's okay.
Right, exactly. Okay, Bill, your
turn. I'm going to transfer to the Rotaract Club. It sounds like a lot more fun.
Well, they had a ice cream with alcohol in it.
So yeah. You might want to.
No, I know I'm going to transfer.
Okay. All right, your turn, Bill. Let's read what's on the card.
Okay. They are an old man's club. They don't want to do any service. They just want to come to lunch. Boy, is that ever true?
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's tragic that other people are thinking this way, because there are older men in the club, but they were young at one time when they joined. Mm-hmm. And so you have to have a lot of young people coming in. And if not, it's just going to die. Mm-hmm. So you can't just exist on the old men in the club.
Well, and in addition to that, Bill, I mean, I think 2 years ago, and maybe this year as well, you kicked off our fundraiser for, what is it called? Wine, Dine, and Be Kind, right? You were a catalyst for creating that. Mm-hmm. I know that when I was club president in 13-14, you wanted to lead an initiative to create a membership drive by contacting some of the members of the chamber, and you've just always been an involved member. You're showing up and ringing the bells and just being involved in different ways. Now, and you've also been a contributor, right? So you've helped a lot. You've helped the club financially. Yeah. Yep. So I hope you're okay with me saying that. I think kind of to the points of what we're both saying is that sometimes we want to put a definition around, I use that box phrase, what doing Rotary right is. That if you don't do it this way, you're doing it wrong. And when we have clubs where we have a lot of diversity between, different generations, it's, I think, important that we recognize that different people need to plug in different ways. And if we want to have inclusivity and we want to have diversity, we have to understand that, recognize it, and allow that to be, and create outlets for people to find their way into Rotary and connect in a way that works for them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. If you were to explain Rotary to a stranger, Lauren, what would you say?
Well, it's an international service organization. That's what I always would start with. But it was funny that even last night at the meeting, we asked everyone how we started it was, who's heard of Rotary?
Right.
Because I think there's a disconnect actually between Interact and Rotary. I think a lot of people are involved in Interact, but there's a gap with Rotaract. Right. So people know a lot about Interact and they know a lot about Rotary, but not necessarily Rotaract.
Right.
And so we asked them, how many people know about Rotary? They all raised their hand. Very few of them raised their hand though when they said, what's Rotaract? So we kind of, explained it as, the ages 18 to 35 is Rotaract, Interact is high school, and then above 35. Or can I don't even know, can anyone just join Rotary?
Okay. Yeah.
So when you feel that you're developed enough and you don't need that step,
Yeah.
you could, in Rotaract,
Yeah.
you could go to Rotary.
Yeah.
But we were discussing the different groups as well. Like there's 5 groups in Boise for Rotary, and just how they have their different personalities, and you just kind of have to see where you fit in and what's best for you.
Yeah.
And like if they have a certain mission that you're passionate about.
Okay. How would you explain Rotary to a stranger, Bill?
Well, Rotary is an organization that is a worldwide organization, and it's made up of people that basically just want to make this world a better place in which to live. But the big difference in Rotary, because there are a lot of organizations that have that mission, you know, I can name a half a dozen.
Right.
But Rotary has hundreds of clubs throughout this world, thousands and tens of thousands of people in almost every country in this world trying to accomplish that mission of making this world a better place. So that's what's so unique about Rotary. Not only trying to accomplish a mission on an international level, but obviously locally too. Like our club, we're working on local things, but we have an international project at the same time. So it's more diverse than so many other organizations, I think, and just has a huge support. Not to mention having an ambassador like Bill Gates kicking in $2.5 million every year or whatever.
Right.
So it's a wonderful organization, and it's a great. A lot of people join because of developing business contacts, but once you get in, you get involved, it goes way, way beyond that.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I think we've talked already enough about generational stereotypes and sometimes the myths that are associated with those stereotypes. And I guess I just want to close with 2 things. Number one, that the purpose of this is a reminder to be careful with our words and to be kind and to not make assumptions. And when we don't know something, we should ask, right? So if we want to know how somebody like Lauren wants to get involved in the club, we should ask. If we want to know how somebody like Bill wants to get involved in the club, we should ask. We shouldn't make assumptions. And creating an inclusive environment where everybody feels welcome, and we don't let words, unintentionally cause hurt feelings. And then I'll end with, Rotary has a new vision statement, and it's something I love. I think it's really fantastic. To me, it should be the language for how we speak. And it's what you guys have said too, but it's a great way to encompass that meaning, and it talks about how we see a world where people come together and unite and take action to create lasting change, kind of to your point, Bill, across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. And certainly, when we bring people together and we do good in the world, we are being inspiration and encouraging other people to come along on that journey. So I thank you both for being willing participants in helping us dispel some myths and remind other Rotarians how we want to treat one another and with love and kindness. So thanks so much for being here today, both of you.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you.